This video is going to be on how to create an unfair advantage when everyone's gathering the same information. We're all watching the same videos. A lot of us are watching the same guru or podcast or reading the same books or listening to the same audio tapes or books. So I broke it down into 2 steps that I think will benefit you tremendously. I know it's worked for me. And if you stay till the end of the video, I got giving away something to whoever can ask a really good question. So this video is brought to you by Paradigm Pathway. We're new. We're trying to get in the space of actually having you become the best version of yourself you can. So if we're all gathering the same information, we're all reading the same books, and the human condition is unconsciously just to kind of do the bare minimum when it comes to anything other than your work or your passion. So if your passion isn't really personal development, you're interested in getting rid of a limiting belief or changing something, creating something, right? You're going to start to gather some information. There's a couple of million other people gathering the same information as you, and they're interested also. And it's not a competitive thing. The thing I've noticed, the pattern I've become aware of with myself and with the people I work with is how to separate to the next level. And that level can be whatever you want it to be. So, first of all is repetition. I know I talk about this all the time just because I believe in it so much. I believe everything we have in our life is a history of patterns built through repetition. And we're unconsciously speaking it verbally, thinking about it unconsciously, or feeling it emotionally because we're thinking about it unconsciously. And so that's repetition, right? Just like an athlete has to use massive amounts of repetition to go from good to great, right? The really elite athletes are the ones who do the repetitions the most, right? They know, I want this outcome, I have to do this many inputs a day times this many years will get me to that outcome that I really want, whether that's a professional or, whatever it is in their industry, a musician. I mean, this goes for everything. So repetition to me is the most valuable. My mentor taught me, if I can't explain something to a 3rd grader and have them understand it, I don't know it very well. So what he suggested to me was, you have to devour that information over and over and over and over and over and over. You might have to read the same paragraph every day for 90 days. So if me and you are reading the same book and you just read it once and then put it down and never looked at it again, but you kind of grasp some of the understanding of what the author was trying to explain, but you're trying to explain it to someone or even to yourself. But I read the book 25 times that year, right? I have an unfair advantage with that information that I've gathered, right? Everyone says knowledge is power, but if the second part to this is if your knowledge isn't organized, if one day you're studying and gathering information on your brain, and the next day you're gathering information on health, and the next day you're gathering information on whatever the said topic is that just pulls up on your phone and you just hit play, and there's no organization to any of it, right? Whereas me, I will be watching the first video that you watched. We could pop on the same video, but I'm going to watch it every day for 90 days. I'm going to have a major understanding of what that person is trying to explain, who could have spent 40 years studying that one topic. Right? It's going to be in every cell of my body. I am going to have a very good understanding of what they're actually saying and how to implement it to help me. A lot of people have a lot of knowledge, but it's not organized, and they didn't use any repetition. And so when they're joining a conversation, they're just kind of talking about things that they don't really understand, and it really exposes them, right? They're trying to remember back about this thing that they read 6 months ago that they never grasped a real understanding about and explained it to someone mid-conversation, right? And they might not have really understood what the person was saying, or they might have forgot a few parts to it, so they made up their own little fill-in things, and then the person you're telling might trust you and take that as truth, and now they're running off telling someone else. You can see how this domino effect, this is how we can get so much information spread everywhere that isn't really truth. So I just believe if you are willing to stack habits, so we know from my previous videos and from this video, the number one thing I believe you should be doing is repetition, right? You decide what you're going to work on for the next 90 days and then make a committed decision, right? The cool thing about making a committed decision is it's actually another stacking on top of these other things I'm suggesting you do. If I just make a committed decision, I'm going to read this book every day for 90 days, there is no competition, because about 0.1% of the population is going to read it that many times. Right? So if knowledge is power, if that's the saying that everyone is saying, but the truth is, knowledge can't be power if it's not organized. So you can be studying a lot of different things and gathering a whole bunch of information, but it's very, very, very important to organize it so that you, when you're studying your notes, have a really good in-depth. This is where people can charge X amount an hour to coach people, because they are specifically organized with the message that they're helping you with. Right? They wouldn't be jumping all over the place. They would identify the one little or two little things that is going on, and they could really be specific on how they're going to help you. Right? If we needed brain surgery, we wouldn't go to a general doctor, right? We would go to a brain surgeon, and he's going to charge 10x what a general doctor is going to charge, because he is specialized in that field. And we want the specialist to be working on us, not the general, right? So when you got just a bunch of general knowledge, right? I believe this is why teachers, bless their souls, I love them, they should make a lot more money. They could if they organize their information, right? They're teaching in generalities. So I hope you guys can understand where I'm trying to go with this is specialized knowledge is power. If it's not specialized, it's not that valuable, because the marketplace doesn't care about our feelings. The marketplace doesn't care how smart you are. There's a lot of people that are super successful that aren't that smart, but they have organized information, and they surround themselves with very smart people to answer all of the things that they don't want to know about. Part of the journey is, what do I really want to be good at? Right? I don't like using the word niche. I really feel like it's overplayed anymore, but you do need to be known for the thing you really are passionate about. And to me, it's habits. No matter what, we break this thing all the way down. Our beliefs, habitual thinking. Right? Our beliefs control everything about us. They're our paradigm. A paradigm is a multiplicity of habitual habits. And almost all of our habits are habitual. We don't even think about it. We get up in the morning and we move right into action without any thought. The only time we really think a lot is when something happens. Right? The other day, my heater took a dump and started to smoke into the house and the fire alarms were going off. I had to jump into action. I had to go into fight or flight and try to solve this problem. I couldn't just sit back and be like, oh, it'll take care of itself. I'll just think that it's going to fix itself. Like I had to get out of my comfort zone and jump into something that's the unknown. I don't know what's going on. I don't know that it's my heater. I'm thinking it's a short in the electrical, or right, a rat chewed through a wire. I don't know what's going on. So that's really the only time a lot of people really get creative and actually deal with things. So the little nugget here at the end, I really want, I know it says it was 2 steps, but auto-suggestion. I think this is the most undervalued thing that gets overlooked, period. Right? We're willing to read the books that we're told to read. We're willing to watch the videos that are suggested to us. We're willing to write in a journal. We're willing to do a lot of things. We're not willing to use auto-suggestion, which is self-suggestion from you to yourself. And I've done a video on this before. I'll try to figure out how to leave a thing in here so you can watch that video next if you haven't seen it. But auto-suggestion is extremely powerful, right? Our speaking is extremely powerful, and writing is extremely powerful. The cool thing about auto-suggestion is you're saying it, so you're thinking it, and you're feeling it, and that vibration from your voice is constantly going into your subconscious mind. Eventually, over enough space-time repetition, it will push the old belief out and instill that new auto-suggested belief that you want to have in your life into your paradigm. And I suggest 15 minutes a day. And in the beginning, it's not going to do that much because the rest of the day you're going unconscious and you're wandering through life just doing, right? We're creatures of habit. Some of you might wonder why I always say wandering through life. We're really not thinking. I mean, Joe Dispenza has 10,000 brain scans. He knows when you're thinking and when you're not, right? It shows on the monitors. And when we're just going through life, our program is running that because we've done it so many times. It's just a habit. There's no thought process involved. Unless we're heading home from work and there's an accident. Then we jump out of the program and start thinking about what's another way to get home. That's why I think it's very important to take a different way home all the time. Take a different way to work all the time. You know, start breaking down these patterns. That's all we are, is a history of patterns. So I just want to kind of recap. I really think to get an unfair advantage and get some separation, for one, just making a committed decision. We know that. Hardly anyone's willing to do that. So you already separated. But then you compound that with repetition. And you read that paragraph every day for 90 days. Or you read that book every day for 90 days. Right? You use the power of repetition to separate yourself. Second is organization. You start to organize the information that you've gathered. Just doing this one thing alone will totally change you completely. If being a coach or being someone who can help someone else is something you're feeling deeply inside, getting organized is the quickest and best way. You can package up that information and help someone else. And it's organized. You're not all over the map trying to explain something to somebody because they're already overwhelmed, right? You know, and then I threw in specialized knowledge. when I'm studying people, I'm not only devouring their information so I can kind of get a glance at who they really are. Obviously, when the cameras go off, people are going to be a little bit different. I totally understand that. But is their video super edited? Or is it just kind of uncut and raw, and I can see all of the excitement in the words that they stuttered or filler words, and they're being authentic, and they really care about trying to give you the best information they can and really help you, right? I really want to resonate with people I'm getting information from, and I want them to have specialized knowledge. I want them to have, I don't want to call it a niche, but a specialized category that they are involved in. Right? They don't have this huge thing where they're from finance all the way down to exercise. Right? If I want to get in shape, I want a specialist. If I'm dealing with finances, I want a specialist. Right? And then that little bonus there, auto suggestion. Please take advantage of this. Start it, just make it a habit. Even if it's for 5 seconds every day. And then you can work up to 15 minutes. Right? It takes 66 to 365 days to change the average habit. So I really suggest to people, make a committed decision to at least do something for 66 days. As you're getting closer to that 66 days, really reflect back on, is it still hard? Do I still not want to do it? Because eventually it'll start to form as a habit and you'll want to do it. And so at the end here, I'm going to be giving away a journal to whoever can DM with a great question or leave a great question in the chat. I love my journal. First of all, it's mine, it's personal, I get it, but I've spent a lot of time journaling. I've set this thing up to really help through repetition. Right, when we're writing, there's so many things going on. We're visually seeing it. We're verbally internalizing it because we're saying it in our mind or in our voice. And we're touching it. There's a magical thread that goes from your pencil to your brain. There's been massive scientific studies. I do not want you typing and saving your notes or doing it on a laptop. I suggest you do it physically with a journal, and you write it out, and you're reading it, and you're internalizing it, and you're speaking it. You will retain it for one. Not even a close, typing's not even a close second. I mean, this has been scientifically, they've done hundreds of studies on this. Writing is the way better and faster way to do it. So if you really want to get moving and grooving in 2025, it's coming. And nothing's going to change if you don't change. And so if you're interested and want to become committed and kind of start to figure out and go more in depth and start getting specialized in your knowledge and using repetition and really understand, okay, personal development really is the gateway to anything. You can't be a super successful business person without doing personal development. You can't be a coach. You can't be I don't think you should be a nurse unless you are a very loving, kind person, and most nurses are, right? There's just something about the human connection that makes you want to be the best person you can be, especially if you're going to be dealing with other people, like teaching, coaching, right? So if that's something you're interested in, DM me. I would also ask that you go to Paradigm Pathway. We got a 30-day course on there. It's really packed with a lot of information, pretty organized. It's the first one I've done. I would love some feedback on, things you think I could do better or break down some specific topics more. It's 30 days. I really suggest you try it. It's on SKOOL School, Paradigm Pathway. So thanks guys. Have a great day. Bye.